Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Addicted to Angling. Now today it's absolutely scorching out here. It's nearly 30 degrees. There's a slight breeze which is cooling it down, but the actual sun's strength is absolutely scorching. Now I sat at home in the afternoon, didn't have much else to do. I thought to myself, shall I go fishing? Check the tide times, checked everything else like weather conditions. High tide is now in 2 hours time, so I thought I'd nip down the road 5 minutes from my house to this spot on the River Orwell estuary, right next to the Orwell Bridge. There's like a jetty here that you can fish off, and you have a sewage outflow over there as well, which creates a good environment for fish to come into. Now in here you'll find your bass, lots of school bass, the occasional sea trout, and it is absolutely full of mullet at times as well. So who knows what we're going to catch. I would put my bets on a few small schoolie bass though. Right, but what am I going to use today fishing wise, tactic wise? Now I'm going to show you today something which isn't really used very much in the shore fishing world, and that is using pop-ups. Now when you think of pop-ups, you normally cast your mind to carp fishing, where they're popping up a small boilie off the bottom just to keep it above the silt. It's the same type of idea here, but here you can fish anywhere from around the bottom, just off the bottom if you're going to use a fixed lead with something coming off the bottom, say a snood about that long, to fishing right up in the upper layers for your garfish, your scad and your mackerel, etc., using little hooks up 12, 13, 14 foot you can go. But today I'm just going to be fishing using a standard pop-up rig, and I will show you that now. But first of all, let me just show you the tackle I'm going to be using today before we go into the rig. Now tackle wise, I am using a fixed spool reel loaded up with 8-pound line. It's got a tapered shock leader on it as well, just to even though using light line I can still cast out bigger leads. The rod is a 4.2 metre 40 to 120 gram beach ledger rod, super light, perfect for estuary type work. You know, this is the tip on this is fantastic. I'll show you that soon. And the rig wise, let's get down to the rig. Now like I say, we're going to be using pop-ups. It's a 2-hook rig. You have a pop-up higher up in the water. That is your lead. That is a 2-ounce lead. This is a 30-pound snood coming down to 10, a 30-pound rig body, sorry, coming down to 10-pound snoods with your pop-up attached to the snood. So say that sits in the water, your pop-up will then sit up in the water, keeping it away from the crabs, giving extra movement as well. That is one of the main things of using pop-ups, is it gives it extra movement in the water, making sure that those fish, you know, if the fish are swimming in the upper layers and you're fishing on the bottom, you're not going to catch them. Those bass, those garfish, every sort of fish goes all the way through the different layers looking for things to eat. So this is an absolutely superb rig. Like I say, it keeps it away from the crabs as well. So there's your lead. There's your pop-up, sits up in the water. I also have another one higher up as well on the rig, which will be fishing right up in the upper layers. But it's a really good method to use. You know, sometimes on days when nothing's biting and you're fishing on the bottom, popping up a bait will get you fish and get you bites that you wouldn't normally see. Now hook wise, I'm using a size 4 hook, sort of like a chino-y type thing. It's got, you know, it's got a slight curve coming into it, and that is the rig. It's just really good to fish these type of conditions. But bait wise I'm not using anything along the lines of worms or anything like that. I'm using one of my favourite baits, and that is Squid Tentacles. Now Squid Tentacles, let me just get my scissors out which I'd left in it. Squid Tentacles are a very good bait. They're cheap, they're easy to use. I absolutely love them. You catch everything on Squid Tentacles, you really can. In the winter, dabs love them, codlin love them, and fishing with pop-ups is an extremely good way to make use of the Squid Tentacles, and I'll show you why. You cut the Squid Tentacles off of the head of the squid, so it's literally just the Squid Tentacles left. And then what I normally do is I get my hook and I hook on one tentacle, and if there's a couple that's still together, 2 tentacles, 3 tentacles. Now that will sit up in the water with the pop-up underneath it. Make sure you have obviously enough pop-up to lift the bait off the water. If I was using a crab, I'd probably be using 2 or 3 of these pop-up beads. But that will sit up in the water. It's squid, so it has the attracting properties of squid as well. But when that flaps about in the water, it also looks like little grubs, little white ragworm, and I'm pretty sure that is why the bass will hit it. So yeah, fishing pop-ups in an estuary. I'm going to get this other hook baited out, cast out, and let's see what happens. Let's see if we can pick some of these bass out of this estuary. First cast done, just reeled in, haven't had a fish. Sometimes to me that is a godsend. I'm quite superstitious. I believe sometimes it's happened a heck of a lot to me. If you get a fish on your first cast, for me sometimes the session is doomed. It's just a superstition. It's a fishy superstition. It's something I believe. So I've just stuck some more squid tentacles on there. They hadn't been pecked off, they hadn't been destroyed, but I like to change them every time because your bait will get washed out. You can reel a bait in, you can look at it and you can think to yourself, that looks good, I will recast it. With crab, sometimes that is correct. If you're on the hounds, you can catch 4 or 5 hounds on a single crab bait. I've done it before just by squeezing it. Things like squid, things like worms, sometimes you may as well just be having a bare hook because all that flavour is washed out. A fresh bait is always needed every time you recast. Don't listen to anyone who tells you any different. That is the way it is. Your bait will wash out quickly. Tide runs, it's friction of the water against it. It doesn't hang around. It's not like a lake where the flavour will sit there and hang around. That flavour will just be gone. That tide will hit it and that will wash it down tide. It'll attract the fish, but the actual bait that you're using, there'll be nothing there. So let's get this second cast out. I'm going to flick it a bit more further towards the structure, see if I can find a mullet or a bass. Let's see what happens. Right, quick sit rep. I've been here about an hour, I've not had any fish yet, and this easterly has just kicked up out of nowhere. Now I know we are due thunderstorms tonight, tomorrow, the next few days. This looks like it might be the forefront of that. It's kicked up a hell of a stink. It's not making it hard to fish, it's making it hard to cast into it because I'm using such light lines. I've had a couple of slight tangles so far, but that is the problem with using light lines, light tackle. If you're casting into a strong headwind, then you are likely to get tangles, sorry. But I've only got a little while left. It was literally going to be a quick hit today. I have a couple of hours to come down here, see if I can pinch a bite. I've got to get home for the kids because the missus is going to finish work soon and I've got to get home to get the dinner on for the kids and her for when she gets back. So let's hope and see I can pinch a bite in this last little 45-minute spell I'm here. I know there's a lot of fish here. I've come down here a lot of times before. Me and Scott, who I fish with on Addicted to Angling, have took this place apart before. Look, only little bassies, had sea trout as well. It's normally quite a good spot, but with this easterly kicking up, the water's chopping up, the water's getting really coloured. There's a lot of weed coming in as well. You know, I've not started to notice there's a hell of a lot of weed floating around. So let's see what happens. Never give up until the last cast. Let's see if we can pinch a bite. Plonked out my final cast. That easterly wind, the amount of weed that's bringing in now, it's making it near on impossible to fish. It's just dragging my lines out every time I'm putting a line in. It's no good at all, really. Unfortunate, really, because I'm pretty sure if the conditions would have stayed a little bit better, we would have picked one off. It's bloody hot. It's one of the hottest days of the year. I really wanted to try and show you a fish on the pop-ups, but I hope this video has actually helped you with showing you that you should use pop-ups. Even though I didn't catch today, trust me, they're a phenomenal way to fish. They really are. You'll pick off loads of different species, but like I say, last cast out, you never know, I might pick one up on this. But that wind, I reckon it's the forefront of the storms that are coming in. There's no cloud base coming through with it, but it's just really pushing in. It's increasing. I reckon it's probably gusting 20, 25 now. When I came out, you were looking, it's probably about 10 miles an hour. So it's picked up in the space of an hour and a half. Even the shelter that I've got the phone in to keep the wind off the actual phone itself, that keeps getting buffeted about as well. But yeah, unfortunately no fish. That's the way it is. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my god, I blanked. I'm not going to put the video out because that's fake. At the end of the day, we're all anglers. No matter how good you are, people blank. I don't care whoever sits out there and says, I don't blank, you're talking crap. You really are. Everybody blanks. You should take those blanks and you should work with them, because when you blank, you can change something, you know. You can think to yourself, what can I do better next time? What can I change that might catch me fish? I mean, today, I could have loads of excuses. I could sit there and go, it's really hot. Or, oh my God, this wind's put the fish off. No, I've tried my hardest. I know for a fact that the way I've fished is right. I know for a fact that the way I've fished would normally catch fish, because it always does it. It's just, you know, it's just one of them things I haven't caught in the couple of hours that I've been here. But anyway, that was Addicted to Angling. That was, you know, the first fishing film. We've gone out for a little while. Will be back soon with me, and me and Will be doing various films all over the place. He'll be doing some by himself, I'll be doing some by myself. The channel is going to come back alive, so like, share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Let's get this channel back to where it was previously. Let's get over 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. Let's get this channel where it should be. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the beach sometime soon.